Sunday morning, February 28th, and last night we had quite a bit of flooding in this bottom field. So just kind of assessing the damage this morning, and that's all you can do, and just kind of seeing where we go from here. So here we go. This culvert we just put in to help solve a lot of these flooding issues just got ripped right up. I don't know how I'm gonna fix that. It was definitely pretty scary last night. It could be worse. I don't see any frost covers beside, they're moved in the field, but I don't see any in the creek or wrapped up in these trees or anything like that. So that's a blessing. We just got new frost covers for this field. The one section that's pretty much, that had the worst damage, the section of rows, is actually where we didn't plant strawberries in the fall, so that's also a blessing. I mean, there's some plants here and there, the low spots in the field. When it dries out, I'm really gonna have to go and see where we're at with that, but it could be worse. So we dug this trench kind of at the end of the rows in the fall last year to allow water when it rains like this to escape. And then we put this culvert here, and I almost bought a smaller culvert. Wouldn't have mattered anyways. The water was up over all of this, so it's obviously ripped that up a little bit. I'm glad it's not down the creek yet. I love paying for gravel and it getting washed away. It's my favorite thing ever. Very happy with these, how they look still. These are the Sweet Charlie. We got about 10,000 of these plants right here in this far section. This was probably the highest section. It still had some water running between the rows, but we could actually see everything last night, and I wasn't too worried about these. Needless to say, I did not sleep well last night. This happened at our other farm on a much worse scale, and pretty much ended our year in a lot of ways. It can always be worse. It's gonna be some work to clean up, but that's farming for you. This right here is why we do raised beds. This is kind of ugly, but you can see the water came in and a lot of debris and stuff. Now some of these plants on the end, we'll see. We're about to actually clean up next week. Luckily, these plants are still in dormancy. They're just starting to wake up. And if we were in full bloom right now on these plants, it'd have been a total loss. This is one of the things I'm most upset about, is these frost covers. That's just a nightmare. These frost covers are 60 feet wide by 500 foot long. We've got sandbags all on top of them. The water just moved them right over. And when those are wet and full of all this trash, it's not fun to move them around, and we got to get them cleaned out and everything. For the record, Kendall told me that this field might flood, and that this field, it makes us both nervous to put it down here, put all these strawberry plants down here. We thought we fixed the problem. We didn't totally. If we didn't do what we already had done by adding these berms, it would have been catastrophic. But she told me so. So she's not happy to say that, but she did. And you just gotta learn from mistakes. Last night was stressful. We were out here until about 12:45. I was wading through the water to try to see the damage. And Kendall was out here just being a very supportive wife. So I am so grateful for her calming me down, being encouraging, and she's just amazing. I am so lucky to have her. So I wouldn't want to be doing this alone.
So if you've seen our videos about this bottom field, we tried to make it to where the water would flow right out to the creek, and that's what Zach is doing. He's pulling this culvert out, we put this culvert in, and that was supposed to drain all of the water out. Well, last night it got so flooded down here that it actually raised it up, and so when this next rain comes through, we don't want it to just be gone with the creek. So we're taking that part out. It's connected to another pipe that is buried deeper into the creek. But right now we're taking this part out to make sure that we don't lose that piece. And it looks like the rope just broke. Here we go. Please work. It's working. Got it.
Okay, I can go to right here.
Nice. Nice. Woo! Nice.
There we go.
All right. Solve that problem. It's a good job filming. Strawberry season lives. Well, it has been 2 days since we had this second flooding, but it wasn't as bad as we thought it would be, which was a very good thing.
If we didn't take that culvert out, we would have definitely lost it. Look how much the water just cut out around it.
So now that it's been 2 days, yesterday it was just kind of a crummy day and we weren't able to come out and look at all of the damage that the first flood had caused. So today we're looking at the aftermath.
Yep.
So like we've already said, the whole field was not underwater. Probably half of it was underwater. And it was the scariest thing to ever see.
I think I have PTSD from it. This has happened
I had to
before.
give Zach a limit of how many times he looks out the door so that he wouldn't just stress about it all night. So it's hard not to stress about it. What we have done so far is stretched out all of the frost covers, and now they're drying. But the frost covers were literally all over the field. They looked like huge snakes.
Yeah, they're just scattered from all the flood water, so there's some debris and things like that in there, and so spreading them out, and it's nice and sunny today, just help them dry out, and then we can...
It's supposed to be sunny for like a straight week, so this is exactly what we needed. The fact that they were in dormancy still was such a huge blessing, because if they had have already woken up, they would have been more damaged, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And also, at least strawberry season isn't next week, because that would have been really bad if there were strawberries already on the plants.
If we were in the middle of picking or right about to start picking, this would have been an absolute catastrophe.
Just a catastrophe.
A catastrophe. So you can see, I mean, not a lot right here. This was some of the area that didn't get hit too hard, but there's just some debris in here. And the biggest problem is it packs mud or silt around the base of the plant where the crown is. And that causes disease, and it can stunt the growth in the spring. And so, like I said, we were gonna come in here this week anyways, because it's nice and warm, and start cleaning up the plants. And what that means is taking off all these dead leaves, opening up the holes so that none of the plant grows underneath this plastic, and taking any weeds out as well. And so it's just gonna be an added step us cleaning out the plants to make sure there's no mud packed around them and any debris from the flood.
Another thing that the water caused is all of the plastic is now so loose. And before it was so tight and looked so good, but now it's loose and it just looks bad.
Luckily the plants were established already, but what it does is, see, it kind of shows we had a really tight formed bed right there, and that helps the plants warm up quickly in the spring, and it will still be okay, but it just doesn't look as nice as we had it before. And we generally will double crop this plastic or even triple crop it, and we probably will not be putting pumpkins on these this fall like we normally would, just because this plastic's not in great shape anymore. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Now we're going to show you one of the sections that was completely submerged underwater. I mean, when it was flooding the first time, we couldn't even see the plastic. It looked like a huge lake down here, and both of our hearts just sank.
See how that mud is all just caked around that? It's hard to see, but that's not good for that plant. It can cause crown rot and a lot of other problems. And so we really won't know the severity of it until we start picking and just see what disease might be there, if there is any. So we just got to get these plants cleaned up and sanitized as soon as possible.
We're just gonna spray some hand sanitizer on them, and that'll just clean them right up.
Don't say that.
I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just kidding. All this to say, we are so blessed and fortunate that it wasn't worse, and strawberry season is still on.
That's right.
It will still go on. We'll still have delicious strawberries. Another thing we didn't mention is that we have 80,000 plants in the backfield that are thriving right now.
On high ground.
And that was another thing. If these did flood, we did have those as backups. So.
Yep. So I'd say 5 to 10% of this field was pretty severely affected. So that's only maybe 5% of our total production of strawberries. So it's still a number, and it's heartbreaking with all the work that goes into it, but it could have been a lot worse, and we're very thankful that it wasn't.
Yes, we are. God was watching over us.
It was a stressful weekend though, for sure.
Yes, it was. Not much sleep, to say the least.
We were just down here in one of the vehicles and just watching it just absolutely pour.
We were sitting in the Transit, and it was just monsooning, and we were just watching the water rise.
Yeah.
The life of a farmer.
Yeah, that's farming. So right here is our property line with our neighbor, and we've built a berm up against this fence here so that the water doesn't just flow right through our field. And so the water actually comes from his property. It goes over the creek edge there and through this field next to us, and it hits right in here. In the past, it's always hit the berm and just shot down the creek. Well, it rained so hard for so long, the water actually was building up against the berm, and it came up over the backside of the berm. And as you can see, we've got logs and debris that have been washed with that flood water. And right here, if you can pan over to the field, I mean, it's just a straight shot into our field, and the water just runs right through there on the left side where they're at with the frost covers now. And we've got a culvert at the other end of the field that you saw us take out. That's where all the water's supposed to funnel to. Well, it just overtook that culvert, and that whole area was just underwater. It's just an insane amount of water in a short amount of time. It's pretty scary.
So with all of this to say, we're so glad that it was not worse. We are so thankful that we will still have strawberry season, and that's just part of farming. So thank you for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe, and make sure to come to strawberry season so you can reap the harvest of these beautiful strawberries that we have grown.
They're going to be extra good this year.
Thanks for watching. Goodbye. Have you ever seen the rain? Have you ever seen the rain? I sure have.
Too much rain. Dry Fort Creek, or like wet Fort Creek, it's not dry. It's rarely dry. I'd rather it be dry right now. We have a pond. We can still water.